thank you so much for tuning into the Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. And don't be afraid to subscribe to the new Raiders Report on YouTube. I would definitely greatly appreciate that. Guys, I talked about some news, talked about some rumors. Now I got a fun little segment from you guys. I had a little bit of a Raiders mailbag, and I wanted to know what kind of questions you guys had, and I wanted to know how I could help you out. So, Lena, send us over to that mailbag. First one is coming in from JR Osuna on Facebook. How are the DBs looking for this upcoming year? Well, actually the reports have been pretty good out of camp so far with the defensive backs, and I think they can improve upon last year. But if there's one guy who I really want to look into this year, and at the start, it's Rashaan Melvin. So I think Rashaan Melvin is going to have a big year for the Raiders. And from reports out of camp, the defensive backs, especially Melvin, have been looking good. While Oakland acquired Melvin this offseason after he served as a reliable cornerback for the Colts the last 2 seasons and started in 19 of 25 games he played for the Colts. Melvin has amassed 115 tackles, 92 of which have been solo, 21 passes defense, 3 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles so far in his 5-year career. But he's the second guy right now, and the guy who I think could really step up for the Raiders this year, Daryl Worley. He's going to be the third cornerback right now for the Raiders on their depth chart. So, again, this is the guy who they signed, and I think he has the edge right now on that third cornerback position. While Conley and Rashaan Melvin are expected to be the top 2 cornerbacks for the Raiders in 2018, Worley has to be the favorite for that slot gig, which is a big gig for the Raiders. Next mail question I got coming up on the board is from Peter Burke. Will Derek Carr pass for more than 30 touchdowns this year? I love this question because I can also put a little bit of a fantasy twist on it, and then, well, that's kind of my thing. But Derek Carr is the guy that I absolutely love, and this is the reason why I love this question. After an MVP caliber season in 2016, Carr took quite a step back in 2017. The Raiders have done a nice job bringing in pieces to this offense this offseason, and it will be interesting to see how this team gels this summer. Carr is one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL and is getting paid as such, so 2018 is a big year for him under center. Now, will he throw for 30 touchdowns this year? That's a lofty expectation. You look at 2017, 2016, under 30 touchdowns. Then he had 2015. 32 touchdowns. 2014, his rookie year, only 21. But that's a 4-year average, about 25.75. So, is he going to throw for over 30 touchdowns? I also want to hear from you guys. This show isn't just about me. Over or under 30 touchdowns for Derek Carr in 2018. Comment below. People on YouTube, comment over, under 30 touchdowns for Derek Carr in 2018. I'm going to go under. Sorry, guys. I'm going to go around 28. That's just me. All right, next question I got for you guys coming up on the board. This one's from Jerry East of Facebook. With Mack holding out, how do you think this will hinder the defense this year and with the new players altogether? It's a good question. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Mack is no doubt a centerpiece in the defense. If not, you could argue he's the most important guy on the team. Raiders defensive end Khalil Mack missed all of Coach John Gruden's voluntary workouts and Oakland's mandatory minicamp as he continues to hold out, seeking a large contract extension. Now, this is one of those things, I think, with Mack in terms of how I think it will hinder the team. I'm confident the Raiders will re-sign Mack, and the players, I think, know that. I don't think it hinders the defense right now. Obviously, though, if Mack isn't on the field, that's a very different story. He's arguably the best young defensive defender in the NFL, and he has, listen to this number, 36.5 sacks the last 3 seasons. That's just absolutely bananas. You know what else is actually kind of bananas? How amazing Miz and the Main shirts are. Head over to www.comfortable.af and find out for yourself. These shirts are indeed as comfortable as F. Next question I got for you guys coming up on the board is from Philip Games on YouTube. This guy has been hitting me up big time on YouTube, so shout out to you, Philip. Why do we have Doug Martin when DeMarco Murray is a free agent? It's a good question, and as you know, I'm not a big Doug Martin fan. I mean, I think it's hard to be when you average 2.9 yards per carry the last 2 seasons, but I'll be honest, I'm really not a big DeMarco Murray fan either. Sure, at least 6 rushing touchdowns in 5 straight years, and last season, 184 carries, but he averaged only 3.6 yards per carry. Thank God he had a 75-yard touchdown, or he'd be probably under 3 yards per carry. He's 30 years old. Martin's 29. Ultimately, though, why do I think he's on the team? Doug Martin's on the team over a guy like Murray? I think it's just because John Gruden loves Doug Martin. I don't know what it is about him. Maybe Doug Martin just looks good in shorts and a t-shirt, but that seems to be the case, and I think that's why a guy like Doug Martin's on the team over a guy like DeMarco Murray. Last question I got coming in. This one's on Twitter, at Justin Stairs. For fantasy football purposes, has the hate on Raiders wide receivers gone too far? Valid question, but do I think it's gone too far? I don't really know. So here's the depth chart first off, right? Wide receiver 1, Amari Cooper. Wide receiver 2, Nelson. And you got Bryant, Seth Roberts, Switzer. For me, from a fantasy football standpoint, I'm not going to touch Seth Roberts. I'm not going to touch Ryan Switzer. Nelson, you might be able to make an argument for. He's a guy who's looked pretty good in camp. Martavis, if he gets his head on straight, has a high upside. But for me, there's only one guy that I want on this Raiders wide receiver depth chart to be on my fantasy team, and that's Amari Cooper. I've talked about him before. He's entering year 4. We hear a lot in terms of NFL. Year 3 is the breakout year for wide receivers. I think it's going to be year 4 for a guy like Amari, who, let's not forget, just turned 24. Calvin Ridley, a rookie coming into the year, 24 years old. Amari Cooper is an absolute stud. Gruden wants Cooper to be the focal point of the offense. He said that multiple times this offseason. And when you have over 70 receptions and 1,000 yards in your first 2 seasons, that's not easy. And in fact, only 1 of 3 wide receivers in NFL history have ever done that. So for me, Amari Cooper is going to be the wide receiver that I target on the Oakland Raiders. Raider Nation, thank you so much for tuning in to Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Rance. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRance365. And make sure you guys subscribe to that new Raiders Report on YouTube. Until next time, go Raiders.